Good morning, traders. So how do we trade the Aussie South African top 40 today? So for the next couple of weeks, we are focusing on a different strategy. It's one that I use quite extensively, and let's just call it the dilly gaff strategy. It's something that I've put together myself over the years, and it's pretty much made up of two moving average. So it's a moving average strategy, which is a 9 and 26 smooth moving average. I then have a 9 and 26 smooth stochastic as well, which ties in with it. And I've got a 14 momentum index oscillator, which is wrapped in a Bollinger Band. The rules are quite simple. I'm looking for a grouping above the 80 or below the 20 of the stochastics, and then I'm looking for a crossover. Okay, and then at the same time, I'm looking for diversions on the momentum index, and that would be Bollinger diversions and normal diversions, and also preferably a step outside of the Bollinger Band. So step outside the Bollinger Band, a grouping, and a price level. That gives me my three signals. Okay, so, but you'll understand it the more we move along. So anyway, what happened on Friday? So Friday was kind of a chaotic day. I was expecting us to sort of hold the level where we closed, so 50, sort of 50, well, 50,000, 5120, 50,000. I really would have expected us to hold that level, but we didn't. We popped all the way down and we broke below 49,540. So fairly significant because this trend line here is pretty much broken. Okay, so that was the original trend line. That has been broken. So we could argue we're in a downtrend. My argument is we're bottom of range. Okay, and unfortunately the range is massive. So if we look at this range is pretty much 2,500 points. Okay, so let's just get to the levels we can trade. Okay, and you can see how this strategy works. You can see how when we have a crossover, the rules are the same. You have crossover, you have retests of the breakout. There's a retest of the moving average breakout. Didn't happen up here, happened lower down. Nevertheless, still a retest. And you normally find that that retest lines up with another retest. See there? So you've got this swing low, and that was the last breakout. There, the breakout is here. That's the retest inside bar. So that would have been an additional signal for a short on Friday. Okay. So anyway, the reason I use this, just by the way, is it's a lot quicker than the Bill Williams, or the Ichimoku. Okay, so pretty much when you do get the crossovers and a retest, you're almost 80% sure of the direction. It may be short-lived, like this. Well, this wasn't really short-lived, but I mean, what I'm saying is it may only be a day or a couple of hours move, but still, that was a 1,000-point move. Okay, so what are we looking for today? Okay, China's on holiday today, so 10 cents shouldn't really affect us today. The Rand, if you just get there quickly, the Rand is fairly flat, 14.13 at the moment. And I don't see the dollar strengthening at the moment, so the euro is also flat. So that may change at the open because China has announced that they are reducing tariffs. So what we're looking for is I'm looking for long. As far as I'm concerned, we are bottom of range. So I'm looking for a long entry. And at the moment, this is a V reversal. And I am not a fan of V reversals because I'm looking for that second move. So if it doesn't happen, well, then we just wait for the next setup. Okay, so looking at the hour, you can see we are still below the trend. So we're below the moving average here. So what I'd like to see is pretty much a slight move to the downside, and then a second signal on the hour or the half hour, just to give me an indication that we have changed direction. Okay, so this one's going to be watching price action quite closely. Now, being a Monday, it could actually mean that we have to wait for the US Open before anything happens, as what's been going on the last couple of months. So yeah, there's my entry is really going to be the one area that we're not sure of. Okay, so ultimately we are bottom of range as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we are. I just want to delete that level. We're bottom of range. I am looking for a bit of a pullback and then a rally. So what you can look for, you can see we've got a crossover on the 12 minutes, but we do have a grouping here. Okay, and we're sort of just hovering on the top of the Bollinger Band. So I would like to see us move to the downside, and the international markets at the moment are moving on low volume, so I do suspect that we get a pullback. Okay, may not be a deep pullback, may only be onto the moving averages here, and then or we go sideways. But everything's going to be about price action, and I think the best way to do this is to look at it on the half hour, and you can see there we had a positive price action. So what I'm looking for is another positive price action element, and that would indicate that we need to be long. Okay, so the key here is to watch your levels. So the levels to watch are 52.08, and the level to the downside is going to be just tidy it up to the low of Friday, okay, which is 49,470, and the level to the top is 55.90. Okay, so ideally what we want to see is we'll probably see a bit of a gap up by the looks of things, but I do suspect a lot of those gaps are going to either be closed or sort of some form of a bit of a pullback. Okay, the markets are still running at the moment, but this running on low volumes at the moment. So I would wait for Europe and just see what happens at Europe. Okay, so what I'm basically saying is wait for an opportunity to get long. Don't chase it at the open. Wait for a pullback, and once that pullback happens, even if it gaps up in this area here and then pulls back and then forms a base, that would be your area to get long with your stop below the base. Okay, so you don't want to jump in at the open, not at these levels. Let it run, let it pull back. It will come back. There will be some profit taking somewhere along the line, which will give you your entry. Okay, if we do break below the low of Friday, then I suspect we have a very good possibility of breaking to the downside on this range. But it is fairly strong. So, I really only get worried once we start dropping below 49, let's call it 49,000. Okay. So, yeah, the 4 hour for me at the moment has got crossed over. We're stepping out the Bollinger Band. We've got some Bollinger diversions here. We have an inside bar. So I want to see, on the lower time frames, I want to see another opportunity to get long, and it's a case of getting long. Okay, and I'm kind of inclined to believe, let's just get the weekly, that, looking at the weekly, we may sort of target when I get the level that's going to line up, more than likely going to be inside. You see where all this interaction is. So 50,700 is going to be the area that I'm going to be looking at. We're going to need to get above it convincingly, which could break this downward trend line. If that happens, then we have a fairly good opportunity brewing. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so basically it's a 200 moving average on the daily, which we need to watch, so 200 EMA. Anyway, guys, that's my view on this for this morning, and I'm looking for longs, but obviously I'm waiting for a pullback before I get in on this market, and unfortunately it's going to be a price action driven decision. There's no real big levels that we can bounce off. I suppose this was an entry on Friday, and you should still be long on it. But if you are, congrats. But for me, I don't chase any trades over the weekend. It just stresses me out. Anyway, guys, that's my view on the Aussie for today. I hope it helps, and keep those stops tight and enjoy your day. I will catch up with you later. Cheers for now.